Hey guys, welcome back. So today we are speaking with Ashley Collingbull. She was Mrs. Universe 2015, the first Canadian Indigenous woman to win the pageant. And of course, right now she is an actress and an advocate. So we're going to be getting to learn a little bit more about her story. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I hope you're doing well as well.
I am, and I'm so excited to finally get to talk to you because your story is so powerful and it goes all the way back to 2011, 2012 when you were competing at Miss World Canada, if I'm not mistaken. And I want to get to know your experience as an Indigenous woman in the pageant industry. Did you find it was more challenging to break into pageantry, to break into modeling?
Yeah, it was a lot harder because there was no one out there competing that was like me, that looked like me. So I felt like I was the first. I felt like I had to break a lot of glass ceilings and stereotypes along the way. And, it's great that I'm the first, but it's more important to know that I'm not the last and that more Indigenous women are doing pageantry now, especially for advocate work. So that's really beautiful. For me, it was challenging because I've never been a part of the pageant system before, and kind of sticking out like a sore thumb it was not easy.
And you win Mrs. Universe 2015, and the first thing that you do is you do get a little political and you start asking people of your community to vote and to make their voices heard. And I want to know today, 2021, obviously we're going through such difficult circumstances. What is the number one topic or issue that you find yourself advocating for?
I feel like I'm always advocating for Indigenous peoples. I mean, there's so many problems that we deal with that have came from a system that was really created to destroy us. It's not there for us. So we're always battling regardless what it is. Like, for example, murdered and missing Indigenous women. We are targeted daily because people don't see our lives of as value and they see us as disposable. So it's scary to be an Indigenous woman in this country. And on top of that, our people are living in third world poverty with no access to clean drinking water. So we're really suffering, and that's something I feel like, we still need to work on. We still need to heal within our own communities, but we need help, and we're just constantly fighting for our rights, things that were promised to us, and it's hard to rely on a system that wasn't meant for us to begin with.
And in the last year, we have heard so much support on mainstream media for diverse communities and systemic racism. And I'm curious if you think that the Indigenous community has received the same amount of support and the same amount of highlighting on mainstream media.
I feel like it's seen more now, for sure. I feel like before we were always put on the back burner. No one really wanted to listen to our voices. And, I feel like the media just doesn't want to really listen to people that they don't consider important. Like me, having this big platform and being a public figure, yes, it's great that people listen to my voice, but for me, it's about amplifying other people's voices. So I use my social media platforms to, really bring awareness to other people's issues as well. But the one thing I don't want to happen is, to be tokenized and be used to diversify other companies or people that want to get involved. I feel like if you're going to be a non-Indigenous ally, you have to really not just show up, but speak up for us and use your voice and your privilege to help us as well.
And you are an ambassador for RW and Co. alongside Tessa Virtue, who is of course another iconic Canadian woman. And I want to know, you are carrying this flag of Canadian women around the world. You are living in the States right now. So, what is
hmm
something that you always talk about when it comes to Canada? I mean, you were Mrs. Canada, you're an ambassador for Nike, you're an ambassador for RW and Co. So, what do you tell the world about what Canadians are and about what Canadians can bring to the world?
I feel like Canada is, it's a lovely country to live in, and we're great people. We're always saying sorry just because of how kind natured we are, but I really like to share the true history of Canada and what Indigenous people are facing, and even today, like not much has really changed. So, we're like any other country. We have our problems, but we also have our triumphs, and we have, our people that are really uniting us together. And I think that's just really beautiful is that not only were we the most multicultural country in the world, but we have a lot of advocates. We have a lot of people speaking up for Canada and for what our Canadians should be. So I think it really is different. It's kind of like 50-50, there's some raw, true history to our country, but then there's also a lot of greatness to it as well.
And the fact that we are finally seeing more and more representation on Canadian TV stations, on Canadian film, I mean, just the fact that I'm on TV as well, just being a Latina immigrant is always something that I'm very proud of. And I want to know, for you, how important is it to see this diverse representation finally getting to North America?
It's so wonderful to see. It's been way too long. Honestly, Indigenous representation is so important because the youth, our next generation, it's really giving them that ability to dream if they see it for themselves. If they see someone that looks like them, see a face that, resembles them, they think, maybe I can do the same thing too. Maybe I can just make my dreams come true, which is possible. But I feel like Indigenous representation is something that we were really lacking, but now I feel like we're at the table and we're really making moves. It's really important because, even for me as a role model, I have to really think about what I'm going to do and think about how like it's going to be a positive ripple effect for the youth. So, like for example, the first time I ever saw a billboard of myself, a lot of young Indigenous women thought that was a really powerful image to see because you never see Indigenous women in mainstream media, and it's really rare. So now that there's more of us, and I'm able to open the door, it's amazing to see what will come from it.
And you have almost 1 million followers on Instagram. Do you find that, like, do you feel pressure when you go to post something, when you go to speak up about a certain topic? Do you still feel scared about how people are going to react, or is it just kind of like a number that you look at and it's like, I'm just going to tell my story and whoever likes it likes it?
Yeah, I had to really realize that you can't make everyone happy, especially being a public figure and being in this type of industry. You can't make everyone happy and you can't worry about things that you can't control. So when I post something, especially if I'm advocating for something, it's always from like the goodness of my heart. And then if I feel that it's right, then it is. But if there's someone that, there's always internet trolls or people that want to comment on how you live your life and think that they're entitled to it. So I don't really let stuff like that bother me because, like I said, if it's coming from a good place and I'm doing it with good intentions, then I feel good about it. I'm glad that I have a large following because I'm able to, really get my voice out there and get the message out there and help others get their message as well.
And what's next for you? I mean, after Mrs. Universe, after all of these incredible ambassadorships, what is your next goal?
Well, I just finished filming a series, so that should be coming out probably in mid-fall. But my biggest goal that I have is to create a foundation, my own foundation, because I do a lot of charity work with where I work with a lot of different women, and I feel like I want something where I can create it for Indigenous reservations all around the country, where I could have shelters in place for women who are at risk, because that's like a big problem in our communities is that we need our women to have a safe space to go and also for their youth that are escaping domestic violence. So instead of, keeping at what I'm doing, I'm also adding on top of that, trying to create this foundation where I can give women a safe space to go and, also help them get back out into the workforce and help their children. So that's my ultimate goal is, to be like my grandmother, but give back in my own path.
And would this all be happening in Canada, or is this something that you want to expand to reach the States as well?
So far, just in Canada, but you never know what can happen. I feel like if this can go into the States, who knows how far it could go. It's just so important to reach as many Indigenous people as possible.
Amazing. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your story with all of our viewers.
Thanks so much for having me.